States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Maureen. Okay, Tammy, will you take us through roll call, please?
Yes, I will. Those present are Mayor Shaw, Council Members Baker, Roth, Arnbrister, Kemp, and McVeigh. Staff present is myself, City Attorney, City Engineer, Public Works Supervisor in Training, Captain Brad, and Code Enforcement. Excused tonight is Ron Gibson.
Thank you, Tammy. Look for approval of agenda, please, Council.
Move to approve the agenda?
Second. There's a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed 5-0. Thank you, Council. And now look for the approval of the consent agenda, please.
Move to approve the consent agenda to include December 26, 2023 claim vouchers 7971 and 7984, and 6 DFTs in the amount of $41,754.22. The December 12, 2023 meeting minutes and January 9, 2024 claim vouchers 7992 through 7999, and 1 EFT in the amount of $53,531.92, and the December payroll in the amount of $36,570.09.08, and has been audited and verified by the audit.
We're doing that next.
I was going to do it right after public comment.
Okay.
Wrong second. Kim, did you hear it?
Yep.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed 5-0. Thank you. Has anybody signed up for public comment?
No.
All right, let's get public comment, so we'll go on. And we're going to do a swearing in of our officers, new members. So, Mr. Kemp, would you come present? I'll save Ryan, so I know they're going to want to take pictures. I want to make sure I don't mess up what I'm supposed to say.
Practice on me.
I'll practice on you. In case they're going to be taking pictures on it. Where do you want? You stand by Tammy.
Okay.
So, Mr. Kemp, will you please repeat after me? I, Ron Kemp,
I, Ronnie W. Kemp,
do solemnly
do
swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and the laws of the State of
and
Washington,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Washington,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
perform and discharge the duties of the office of
perform and discharge the duties of the office of
City of Rainier,
City of Rainier,
City Council,
City Council,
position number 4, according to law, to the best of my ability.
according to law, to the best of my ability.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Bob.
You ran away so quick you can sign this
Okay.
for Tammy when you get back. Ryan, where you want?
That was a great
Right in the middle.
right in the middle. Okay.
Well, then, I feel like where do you?
It doesn't make any difference.
You want him out here?
It's just a
This
picture.
is perfect. It's great.
So you got a crowd here. I, Ryan Roth,
I, Ryan Roth,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and the laws of the State of Washington,
the Constitution and the laws of the State of Washington,
that I will faithfully and impartially perform
that I will faithfully and partially perform
and discharge the duties of the office of
and discharge the duties of office of
City of Rainier, City Council, Position 2,
City of Rainier, City Council, Position 2,
according to the law and to the best of my ability.
according to the law and the best of my ability.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Anybody else want sworn in? I'm on a roll.
You did really good.
Thanks for putting us pressure.
Bye,
That's
guys.
all? You guys are leaving?
I don't think they'll make it.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was pretty exciting. Who's on the ballot next year? Anybody?
No. I'll tell you guys.
Could be my last sworn in.
Yeah, I think that's the largest crowd we've had in a long time.
It really is. It really is. Okay. We'll go to staff reports. Mr. Watkins, you've already we got part of yours out of the way, so just go on to the other stuff.
Yeah. Month of December we saw a little uptick in calls in Rainier, up about 20 from the previous month. That's nothing to be alarmed about. The biggest increase was in domestic violence responses. That is actually for my profession is very common during the holidays. Starting about mid-November until about mid-January, we see a significant increase in domestic incidents. Usually, number one, it brings families together. Quite often, it brings beverages together, adult beverages, and when those two kind of mix at times, things get a little heated. So we saw an increase of 8 domestics in the city of Rainier during the month of December, compared to our normal is like 1 a month, maybe 2 in a big month, something like that. So. Other than that, most of the other areas that we keep an eye on, there was no increase in burglaries, vehicle prowls, auto theft, nothing like that. We had a few additional suspicious circumstance type calls, and that can be that's actually I view as a good thing, because that means citizens are actually keeping an eye on their neighborhoods. They're seeing something that doesn't look right, and they're calling, and that's we want people to do that. So to my knowledge, looking at those, it didn't look like any of them panned out really to be anything other than a couple of them, the suspicious person was gone by the time the deputy got there. And a couple of them, they made contact and it ended up being, nothing. They were out walking or whatever. So, again, the little increase, but nothing that was real exciting. The bomb threat today was probably the most exciting thing, but that'll be next month. And I'll have to tell you all about that again. So, but that is all I have. Well, I should say, we started the new year out. The public safety tax passed within the county. We're still figuring out exactly how that's gonna play out for our agency. Tentatively, we're looking to add about 33 positions. Agency-wide, and almost all of that is on the law enforcement side. But there's some moving parts there and some jockeying for funds by certain entities, and I don't want to bore you with that stuff, but we know that we'll start adding more deputies about mid-year. As we sit here right now, I have 13 vacancies. That is a large number. And I always want you to be well informed, and this isn't to alarm you, it's just so you're informed. In the patrol division, which I'm the captain of, I have a total of 2 lieutenants, I have 11 sergeants, and I'm supposed to have, keyword, 56 deputies. And that does not count the 3 school resource officers who are assigned to me, but they're not working actual patrol. Of those 56, right now I have 36 deputies working. The 20 that I don't have is I have a couple out on medical leave. I have 2 in field training. I have 3 in the academy right now. I have 4 that go to the academy next week. And then we have the vacancies. And detective division, which isn't under me, they also have 3 vacancies, and what that means is they don't get their detectives till I get my road deputies. So, so that's why when you add all those up, you'll come up that we're down the 20 that we have, and then the 3 that the detectives has, and that'll be the total number. So we are working very quickly at trying to fill those. The sheriff has brought on additional background investigators, because that's one of the areas that slows our process down. And by brought on, I mean when he came into office, we had 1 background investigator. I believe as of tomorrow, we're at 11 background investigators. Our jail is down 29 positions, so we have a lot of positions agency-wide to fill. But again, the sheriff is being very aggressive at filling those as rapidly as we can. And once we get them through the background process and we're hiring them, it's a matter of getting them academy slots. That also can be a little challenging. Sometimes we've had to wait 2 and 3 months. The state Criminal Justice Training Commission has now started satellite academy locations. The 4 that I have going to the academy next week are going to Vancouver, and they're I think the first class in the Vancouver satellite. So it'll be interesting to see how that even goes. The state puts them up in a hotel. They've got some former school that they're going to be doing all their training in, and it's again, it's new. So they have one up in Skagit County. They have the main one, which is in Burien. They have one in Pasco, one in Spokane, and now this new one in Vancouver. They really want to get one here in Thurston County, and that is something that the local chiefs and the sheriff have been talking about to see if we can find a location to properly house, an academy class here, but that hasn't come to fruition yet. So we're working at it. So even though we're down, we still meet our minimum staffing every day. Minimum staffing for the sheriff's office, just as a reminder, is day shift is a sergeant and 7 deputies, swing shift is a sergeant and 8, and graveyard a sergeant and 7 again. So we meet that every day, and of course we're all of our capabilities are fully intact. I mean, if we have a SWAT call, we have Lacey just added 2, and Yelm added 2 in 23. Olympia added 2 in 23, so I think we're up to a 32-person SWAT team if need be. So we have a dive team, we have hostage negotiators, we have a traffic unit, we have canines. So all of those are filled, and again, our capabilities are right where they would be even if we had all of our deputy positions filled. So on top of the 13 vacancies we have now with the public safety tax, I know we add 6 deputies and 1 sergeant in the second half of this year. And so we will start being more robust as we move forward. And there's more additions in the first half of 25, the second half of 25. So there's a pretty solid plan as far as that goes. So, any questions?
No, I have a comment though. Week and a half ago, I had someone run into me out here at the intersection, and your deputy was very quickly responding, very professional, which I appreciated.
Good, I appreciate that. Did you catch a name?
No, I think it began with an I. Tall, thin guy, well, not really thin, but tall guy, blonde hair, driving a pickup.
You would think that would just...
Not Burton Crow?
Kevin Burton Crow? Yeah,
Could be.
Long though.
he works down here a lot, so that wouldn't shock me.
Very professional.
Yeah.
Uninsured motorist who
He probably left there with a very large infraction notice.
yeah.
Yeah. You want to have that insurance.
No, I was impressed because the person involved called a relative who sent 3 motorcycle bombs. And he was very, very professional doing the whole thing. So I appreciate that.
Good. Well, I will pass that along.
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
Rainey, you got anything besides what you and I have been in talked about? I will bring up under new business. So.
No, nothing other than that. Code enforcement towards the end of the year tends to lack calls coming in or complaints coming in. Usually around winter time, people tend to stay in the house a lot more, so you don't get calls for people trashing yards and things of that nature. So towards the end of this year, I got a total of 12 cases that I opened in Rainier during 2023, but received additional another 25 complaints. But a lot of those complaints, a lot of times you can just walk up to the individual and things get handled right there and then. So I'm just going to continue on like we discussed, doing the basically call whenever people call in. complaint basis only. And as we discussed, which we'll bring up, the camper applications that are going on within the city, with the uptick, and that's one of the things I have noticed, the winter season, foliage goes away, you can see a lot more what's going on properties, and right now, I drive around Tipsy Loop and probably put out about a good dozen camper habitations is going on in Tipsy Loop alone. So, it's something I think the mayor's gonna address with you guys on that. For me, it's just, I think it's something we nip in the bud, my personal opinion, before it gets too out of control. You know what the ordinance states on camper applications in the city of Rainier, which allows for 15 days in a 2-month period. If you have a out-of-towner coming to visit, technically they're supposed to have a letter of permission from the property owner to be staying there for that period of time. Other than that, that's what we're in this year. We're just going to continue on the complaint basis.
Any questions for Rainey? Thank you, Rainey. Karen?
So, I'm not gonna talk any more than I have to because I got a little bit of a head cold, but, the staff report that Ron prepared, we just finished meter reads, had a couple of hiccups with Paul being sick, and now Ron's sick, and I've got a head cold, but we got through meter reads, and we put out quite a few, shut-off notices, 82 of them to be exact. Did shut off today, and I think there's still a couple of people shut off. I believe at least 2 of those houses are vacant. We're going to be prepping for the snow apocalypse coming here toward the end of the week. And I have spent a couple of weeks organizing and inventorying parts in the shop, put up some new shelving. And yeah, any questions?
So Karen is really taking over what our intention is for this time next year, and when he just talked about Ron's letting him start organizing the shop to his standards, and it really looks good, and he's organizing, but I mean Ron's already starting to undo the rope a little bit, and I'm pleased, and that's what Karen was alluding to about when the weather's bad. He's been pretty much starting to take the shop and get it so he knows where everything is. So, you know, when
It allowed me to get in and kind of touch and feel not just the tools, but the water inventory, the repair parts, and see what we have on hand. Allowed me to get a mental inventory of what we have, and Ron's been really good with, anything I need, I come to him and he seems to be able to get it, and we're just learning to dance, and it's good.
it's good to be doing it now when we are busy time, because when spring comes, everybody's outside working. So thank you.
Yeah.
Dominic.
Adam.
Oh, God damn. Adam.
I'm gonna bring Dominic one night.
I called you Adam when we talked earlier tonight.
When he comes here, we're gonna call him Adam, just so you
When
know.
you came up here, we talked as Adam. I don't know. Sorry, Adam.
He's been the most consistent, he's been there almost 30 years.
But the problem is I don't even know if I know who he is.
Oh, okay. Well, you see his name on everything.
It's his name's on everything. But
Yeah.
okay, I'm sorry.
Mayor was flustered from the bomb.
I wish I could say that. Adam, go ahead. Give him the news.
So I finally got lighting sheets from PSC updated for now 4 pickleball courts and no tennis court. So we got those on the plan set for the sports courts, and we'll put it out to add next week. So like I just said, we deleted the tennis court, added 2 new pickleball courts just to parallel the other ones. It just mirrors it. So total 4 pickleball courts. The basketball court, we did an additive item to put a fence around it. So the additive items, that is at your discretion if you choose. Every contractor is required to put in a proposal amount for that if you choose to accept it. So there's 2 additive items now. the acrylic surfacing of the basketball court like before, and now a fence around the basketball court. There's also a path added to the new basketball court gate that will connect with the trail. The new cost, engineer's estimate with the two additive items is $423,500. And that doesn't include a separate PSC cost before, so that's a separate bill. Anything you'd like to add?
No, we'll just open it up. We'll close it here, like the 20th, I think I counted up. So hopefully we'll have, at our next council meeting, we will have some numbers to bring to you.
Yeah.
When's the bid opening?
I think that puts it at the 30th.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be the 11th for 2 weeks,
2 weeks.
18th, 25th. So that'll work out good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Adam.
One other item, Tammy forwarded me communication with the Department of Commerce. It's time to update the comprehensive plan for the city. So, Crane Osborne doesn't complete full comprehensive plans. We're not a planner, but we'll do the utility portions, engineering portions. We're trying to find you a planner right now. I know Jim Gibson said it's not his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So we're in contact with one planner, Christina, she'll bite.
Okay.
So if so, we'll work out the contracting there
Okay.
to get her lined up if you guys approve of it. So
Have you spoken to the Department of Commerce for that grant?
I haven't yet.
Okay. Should I reach out to her maybe and just let her know that we're
Yeah, you could do that.
okay?
Yeah. And if she wants that form filled out for funding, then this planner, contact with them, trying to get her to do it.
Okay.
She's to accept it. So
Okay.
Anything else? Any
that's
questions?
it for me.
Any questions for Adam? Thank you, Adam. Dennis?
Actually, I don't have a report. January is a strange month. TRPC doesn't meet until this coming Friday. So,
Sounds good. Any questions for Dennis?
I'm
Rob?
wondering if, because TRPC did our last comp plan, Katrina did it in 2016. I wonder if they would contract to do it for us.
possibly.
Is that, what do you think, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that before. I'm not aware of how that worked out before for you. I didn't know if you contacted them, or I thought that wasn't an option.
I don't know if they still do it because at the time Katrina was our planner, so that's why she did it.
Okay.
But I don't know. But I guess I'll put my feelers out to her as well.
Okay.
Ron?
Nothing to be tomorrow, and that's it for me.
Any questions for Ron? Thank you. Tom?
Just that, I don't know if we have to have approval on it or not, but I sent the email to Tammy. Every year we have an annual dues in Thurston County for the emergency management board. And I sent Tammy the email.
It's paid.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
never mind then.
It's taken care of?
Yeah.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Tom. Any questions for Tom? Ryan?
Good?
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions for Ryan? Marie?
I'm good too.
Sure. Yeah.
This table is excellent.
That's gonna be our quiet table now.
No, we'll see.
You heard me.
Yeah.
You heard me say now. Okay. Got anything?
Fortunately, not much. I
Okay.
have not heard a word about 932 Tipsy.
That's good.
Well, you know, if I crafted the letter perfectly, it won't be so offensive it puts them off in the sewers. At the same time, firm enough that they go away and take care of the problem themselves.
Okay.
And Tammy ordered a title report on the water line that runs out to the west of town, and it turns out there was a reserved easement way back when. So the fellow who wants to log that, though, he's gonna be logging over a 3-inch water line that's been in the ground for 60 years. PVC, probably.
That property up there.
Up across from Emil.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be,
Everybody know what he's talking about. This is
Probably
the
not.
property up there as you go past Ashenbrenner's,
Burnham.
Rusty Burnham's house, property that sold like 3 years ago now. And Ron gave us meetings about that. Him and Charlie spent a lot of time up there because they wanted to plat that into 2 5 acres, and they were going to go in and take that lumber off, and those trees off. And we had no memory of. Ron knew water went up there, but we didn't know where it went. Is that what it was?
Yes.
So, anyway, that's what Bill's talking about there, is that piece of property up there. So I guess that's good news for the city.
right, Ron knows that there's a valve on, I think it's called Rainier's Acres Road, right on the city limit, and it goes across 2 separate lots, and right through the middle of his lot. And so he's gonna, the logging committee requested, part of it would be over that line, and if you start pulling stumps and what have you that are wrapped around that ancient line, it's probably pretty brittle by now. It is-
That's the line that feeds Charm Road.
Right, that's correct, and
I still am just astounded that the guy that bought that property didn't annex into the city. So instead of having 2 5-acre lots, he could have probably 20 or 30 homes.
That may be what he has to do now. So you found that easement? It's pretty cool.
Well, the title company, I just
Yeah.
called them and
Took us a long time to figure that out. Cool, okay.
yeah,
anything
it's
else?
one of those things that you, actually, it was not actually dedicated to the city or anything. It was just reserved when the property was sold. So, I mean, it's there, it's a record, so.
That's why you record stuff.
Mhm,
So-
exactly.
Okay, anything
Yeah,
else?
that was good news.
Yeah, that is.
That's it.
Okay, we have our first Thurston County Mayor's meeting this Friday, so I'm looking forward to meeting some of the new mayors that I have not met before. That's about all I have. I'm going to just take my report and move right into new business. I said I wanted to throw something into new business, so, you know, Rainey kind of talked about it. When we brought on code enforcement, a year now? It's been 2 years, Rainey.
2 years.
2
Wow.
years, you know, you as a council, Ryan, I think everybody else was involved. Were you part of that? You've been here finishing 2 years now? Okay. You know, we hired the idea that it was all complaint oriented, and we've been working on that. And as all of you know, we've had some motorhome issues because every one of you have reached out to me with your opinions since prior to Christmas. And we've got the motorhomes taken care of. Thank you. And it's just led up to dialogue because we were dealing with Rainey about what the next steps were with the motorhomes. And we've been talking a little bit here in the last week about these other, what's the word you called them, camps coming on, or
The camper habitations. on
camper
private property.
habitation, numerous places in our city. I would say we haven't had a legal complaint brought to our attention yet,
No.
but wondering if it's just something that maybe we want to start to approach, seeing that with what we dealt with here with the motorhomes, one led to a second one, and almost, you know, you don't want it to get out of hand. So I just thought we had a short meeting tonight that I'd throw that out and see if we had any discussion about. You want to add anything to that, or what about what you talked to me about?
I think the big thing for me looking at it is discriminatory enforcement is what I don't want to have. So it's one of those situations where if we go into it, we have to go into it all at once. can't just be one house and then wait a month or two and then do another house. Across the board, each individual that is violating that ordinance needs to be notified all at once, so that way they can't say, well, they're doing it, and that's what we end up getting a lot of, when you serve one, well, if it's okay for him, why can't I, and it becomes an argument that we don't wanna have. So,
Just trying to get a feeling of what,
right,
what the council is. If there's no thing and we want to stay complaint oriented, then we just move forward, but I don't know. Some of you do you have these motorhomes, fifth wheels, campers up in your neighborhoods that you're seeing people living in that are by code not what they're supposed to be doing?
They're around. But my feeling is we have an ordinance that regulates that, and let's follow it.
Tom?
I do have to throw this out because I've dealt with a couple situations that's been approached to me about, in the day and age that we're living in, there's family members who are homeless and their parents or aunt, uncle, brother, or sister trying to help them out. And so, some of them are pretty good sized little families. So they get them in their motorhomes or campers or whatever, and my heart, I know where we need to go with the city, but still at the same token, my heart tells me that, people are trying to help other people out. And, it's not like there's a bunch of drug addicts or something like that, all over the place. It's family members, or it's people who are homeless, for whatever reason. So I don't know where to go with it, but, as you know, in the situation with this RV that was over there, they were trying to help the lady who's homeless with an RV out. She's 78 years old. She had no place to go, so we were trying to help her find a place. And then I had a conversation with the mayor, and I talked to Officer Andrew, and fortunately we were able to, she became ill and went to the hospital in this situation, so we were able to help get it up to the new RV storage place up on the hill up there. But that's just a situation that got dumped on my lap, and I think maybe it's not just that one situation, but it could be other people's situation in the city. I don't know where to go with this. I don't know how to help, but I know that we have to keep control of it. And it's
It's a tough issue.
yes.
Okay. So Ryan, when we usually have this dialogue, we just go around the table. Sometimes I go this way, sometimes I go this way, and the council's very good. We try not to get heated, and we're really, really good about that. So, you heard different opinions there. So, do you have any opinions? This is pretty much common how we go through discussion.
Yeah, I can see where he's coming from, and then I don't remember your name, Rainier. So, he said to get it all out there at once to everybody, because the problem that you can run into, or people run into, is you have maybe 10, 20% of people who are doing that are helping, right? And then maybe you have 30 or 40% that are the drug addicts and are that and this. I'm not saying that's what the percentages are, but that's how it all starts. And then how can, well, this person can, that person can't, type of deal, right? So I can see both sides of that, but it's hard. It's a hard decision. The state or churches, they do have missions, they have other things to help, and So giving that information out to those people was cool, you know, that's a way that we could help mitigate those things and helping them, however you were able to help with that RV and that lady, you know. But whatever it is, we just need to stick to it, I think, and then I think the only way you can really do that is yes or no, right? Doesn't really matter. I understand that people have their own story, their own situation, but it is what it is. There's no gray area.
No gray area. Good. Maureen?
So you said we do have a city ordinance on it?
Yeah, we have, you know, you want to address what it is? I mean, it's
Yeah,
pretty
I would
standard.
like to know what
He,
our
he
ordinance
deals with
is.
it every day.
So it's 14, that's right, 15-day stay in a 2-month period within inside of the city limit is what's allowed.
Makes no difference if it's behind a fence or not.
If they're doing it to the 15-day and then after that they're leaving, they're going back to Florida or wherever, they still have to maintain the zoning regulations. They have to keep their distance off of dwellings. Proper power, you want to make sure those things are hooked up to a proper power source. You don't want somebody running a 100-foot 16-gauge cord into a 20-amp service to run a 40-amp camper. That's how your fires start, and that's where the danger comes in there. You want to have some sort of a check valve, a backflow preventer on the water system that they're using. If they're hooked into the hose, you want to put a backflow preventer on there to help prevent contaminating the water back into the domesticated system. And in Tenino last year, it was brought up to the city planners, and then went to council as well. And it became a thing where somebody wanted to change the ordinance. They wanted to change the ordinance of allowing for people to apply for a permit to have, for hardship cases in a sense. Where, hey, my mom's doing ill, I'm coming from Texas, the only place I have to stay is in my motorhome that I'm dragging out there, but I only get to stay for 15 days in the 30-day period inside of Tenino. So therefore, the problem they propose is, well, what if we issue out permits for those situations where we give them, say, a 2-month permit, and then after 2 months they can renew and just get another 2-month permit, not to exceed 4 months in a year.
I hate to cut you off, but let's stay away from
Okay.
changing ordinance right now.
Right.
Council member Baker's comment was, do we have an ordinance?
Yes.
So, did he answer your question?
Yeah, so how do we know when their 15 days starts?
When the 15 days starts, or up, well, that's just it. It's tough to distinguish exactly when they got there. So a lot of times it would either come in from the neighbors calling, because I've had that, where people go, hey, and my new neighbor just moved in, they moved a motorhome in, and they've got somebody living in it, and they're living in the house. A lot of times it starts there, so if I get the complaint call, I'll go and address it with the residents and let them know what the ordinance states. And then I'll tell them right then and there, your 15 days starts today. Regardless of what maybe the neighbor said, whether they've been here for a month, but I can't, without proof, all I can go is off right here and now, 15 days, and after that, discontinue the habitation of the camper.
Okay. Question anymore?
No?
You sure?
He answered my question.
I have one more thing. My big concern on all this would be the sanitation issue. Like you said, the backflow issue, the city water, and also a concern for sanitation. Where's their sewage going? And we're all on septic systems that are designed to the house that they're at. So if we're dumping the sewage into that septic system, now it's changing the design of the parameters for it. So that's why I'm worried about the more than anything sanitation.
And I think that's where, when Rainey suggested to start with, it's we either gonna hit it full speed, and then I like what Ryan said, is that there's no gray area, because you start, well, which ones having sanitary issues and which ones are not. That's gonna be the dilemma that I think we're gonna have to do.
I guess my concern was how many of them are polluting.
Do we have any idea how many we're talking?
Well, I was gonna get there, but yes, let's go there. I mean, just without going too long, let's go around. How can you think of any? as a council, can you think of any places that we have people truly camping in a facility?
Well, I'm.
Don't give us that, no addresses,
Okay.
because we're public comment. Can you think of some in the
Oh,
town?
yeah, oh, yeah.
About how many?
Oh, probably 4 or 5.
Ron,
I know at least 3,
you know at least 3.
at least 3.
Okay. Tom?
I know about 4 or 5.
Okay. Ryan?
1.
Marie?
No, obviously I don't pay attention. Learn something new about myself here.
You're, I think, on the right side of 507. That answer your question? Okay.
So,
Rainey, I know you and I had talked.
Yeah.
You gave me a number a little bigger than that.
Yeah,
You think?
off the top of my head, I can ring off a dozen of them.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's
Um,
rabbit.
So I know you guys appreciate Tammy's comments, so I'd like her to chime in, please.
Oh, I think it's come to a point it needs to be addressed for sure. Because I think the majority, the eyesore ones, are not there because of hardships. I think they're there for other reasons. So, unfortunately, for the people that are there with hardships, they're kind of under the same umbrella as they're still breaking the ordinance. So, yeah, I think it's time. And I know it's a sign of the times. I mean, a lot of people are doing it. I understand that, but I'm with you. I have a encampment across the street from my house in Yelm, and my same question is, where's the sewage going? Right in the ground, the water I'm drinking. So I've been on the horn with environmental health regarding that as well. So anybody that lives in the neighborhood where these RVs are living should have the same concerns.
I know I asked you about it, on the legal stand of it. You have anything you want to add for the council?
Well, I agree with Rennie. If you're gonna enforce it, you need to be uniform about it. If you recall back with Humphrey Ross's junkyard, we had a lawsuit with that to take it down. One of their defenses was that, well, it wasn't out of character with the neighborhood of Poughkeepsie Loop.
This is
And we started walking around, and it wasn't out of character with the neighborhood at all.
2007, 2008, 9.
Yeah, and so we wound up suing, I don't know, 25, 30 people, different lots, for just maintaining a nuisance. You let it get out of hand, it gets out of hand, and it gets really expensive and time consuming.
So I'm going to interrupt before I forget on that, Bill. So when, we got a couple, and I know council members that were not involved when we had the mess in Tipsu. You were the code enforcement officer. I was sitting in one of those seats as a council member. Can we give them any feedback about, we made a pretty good stride when last time we did something close to what we're talking about. It was totally different. It was a matter of just cleaning up properties, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it was junk cars and dead buses and dilapidated motorhomes and dilapidated houses too.
Yeah.
I mean,
It took a while, but did the process work out pretty good? I know you two.
yeah, actually, we wound up with one lot. The guy just gave it up. He's like, "Can I deed it to the city?" Get rid of it. And we eventually wound up getting rid of the junkyard by buying the 3 lots that he owned, which your house is on one
Yep.
right now.
Okay.
So I got rid of the junk for you.
Yeah.
But I would hope that we don't do the letter that we put in the water bills kind of turned into a tattletale. So if we're gonna do this, are you gonna be doing the driving around looking from our advice, not community advice?
So anybody else want to add anything, or I'll finish up my dialogue?
yeah, I just wonder if maybe this is an area where we would look at our accessory dwelling ordinance and see how maybe we can improve both ordinances to try to accommodate people who really do have an issue. I mean, I feel for someone whose parents lose their house and have to move into their RV or whatever, but most of the places we're talking about are not that. They're problem places.
We're kind of exempt from the state's mandate because we don't have a sewer system.
Yeah.
But the question is if we do allow accessory units, do we have to follow what the state requires? And so that,
Yeah.
we need to kind of take a careful look at that.
I
Especially
agree.
if we're gonna amend anything, if we leave everything alone, maybe, just go away, I don't know. Or I may be worrying about something I don't even need to worry about.
Well, the state has some mandates that I don't think we wanna have to deal with.
No, you don't wanna have to do what
No.
the state wants, no.
But it
No,
might not
that's-
be a
that's
bad
crazy
thing
stuff.
to ask our planning commission to take a look at those two ordinances and see if they can recommend some improvements.
We already have an ordinance, Bob, that allows adult family units on our properties, but they have to go through the hoops of doing it, and they're small, but they're actually bigger than the RV they're moving in.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna go to you, Taryn. I'm gonna catch you off guard here, but Tammy and I were talking today that you continue to fill the shoes of Ron, like we hope you do. He does everything. You're the dog catcher. Hopefully you had to go down and talk to the person in the black truck today. Did you tell him to do that?
Paul did.
Paul did. Oh, okay.
was doing
I mean,
stuff.
and you're out in the public a lot,
Yes.
and you will be. And as you found out, Ron knows everybody in this town.
Yes, he does.
Do you have anything to, if you were out there and we're starting to deal with that, do you have a
Well,
either feeling either way?
My first and primary concern is the public water system. I'm a water distribution manager. I'm going for my water distribution manager too, and we have a responsibility to protect the public water system. And so that's my first concern. And yes, there can be backflow if they hook a garden hose up to these motor homes. Sewage, other things can backflow into the public water system. So I think that it definitely needs to be addressed. Doing meter reads in a certain development out that way, I saw several of them that didn't seem on the hardship, they seem more on the slum side. There's definitely half a dozen or more just walking around doing meter reads. I definitely think it's gonna get worse before it gets better, so I think the city needs to come up with a stand.
Thank you. And that's what I'm just concerned about. In the last, I'm going to say, starting middle of November, I probably had more interaction with people with homelessness, people living in vehicles that I have in the whole tenure that I've been part of the city council or the mayor's position. So to me, that tells me we have a little bit of community concern. And so now, I just wanted to have that dialogue with you guys to see what everybody's feelings are. We're having I think we all know when we talk about the black truck in town, I don't know if that's been the lead, and we are trying to do what we can as a city to make tough things, but he knows the law. I don't know if you've had a run-in with him, we've talked to law enforcement, but I think that has led to, we have now at least one other rig staying in town, and they're patronizing and going into some of our establishments to use the bathrooms, and now I'm hearing it from the establishments about, people doing that, and mainly what I hear is you got it started and it continues, and when we had one motorhome for 2-3 weeks, then another motorhome showed up, And I had 2 calls right away about, Bob, I told you 2 weeks ago this is gonna happen if you don't address it. So, I'm just sharing with you what I get. And if I'm hearing it, I think Tammy will attest. If it comes to me, usually it's becoming an issue because usually the people, I don't know if they're intimidated, but most people don't contact me, they contact her. Is that
So
right?
we have more than one guy living in his vehicle, or one person?
We have another vehicle that's been staying over here now, and now they've moved that way a little bit, but it's a lady. And it's kind of been hidden, but now it's been brought to my attention, and I've seen it, and it's been happening for a while. So, anything you want to add for me from what you and I've talked about, or what you've heard, complaint-wise?
No, we just keep pushing on the black truck. We're just hopefully making him uncomfortable so he'll leave. Senior Center put up no overnight parking signs, so that's out of his options.
He was there last night.
Oh, was he? Today he ran out of the park by Paul, our Paul, and so he comes and parks in our parking lot because he's confrontational. So I guess we'll put up no overnight parking signs in our parking lot, and we'll just keep pushing him out. I mean, I don't know what else to do about him.
You know what we're talking about?
I do.
And your officers, I've had talks with those of them. Andrew told me last week that he had a confrontation about 3 years ago up in Tipsu. But, I thought Andrew was going to be here tonight. What we can do to, he's confrontational with our staff. Yeah.
So what, and this is more anecdotal, but I think there's something to it. What we're seeing is the city of Olympia has been doing a pretty concerted effort eliminating within the city as best they can. Those people are going elsewhere. So we're starting to see them out in unincorporated county where we used to have little to no problem. It was all around where all the services were. The services are in Olympia. Lacey doesn't offer services. Tumwater doesn't offer services. Excuse me. But, so we're now starting to see this a little bit more, and it's been gradually growing about the last 6 months, which is the same time frame Olympia's been. If you've been on I-5, you'll see all the rocks DOT put up behind Hobby Lobby. Olympia's got 3 or 4 large encampments that they've been systematically closing them down over the last year or so. Those people have to go somewhere. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat here. No, I'll blame you. Anyway, so we believe that they don't want to move out of the general area, so they're just expanding out further than they ever used to be. They used to stay very congregated in multiple camps in Olympia. Their biggest camp that they have is one that's called the Jungle. It's just off of Martin Way behind Fatso's Tavern, of all places. And it's kind of a wetland kind of a thing. Well, they're getting ready to make a push to clear that out. And there's a couple of 100 people in there. They're going to go somewhere. And that's it. We've started having to, well, I shouldn't say we've kind of, the sheriff's office has pushed this off a little bit to the state. But they're starting to go up into Capitol Forest. I took a call today of one off of 153rd and Vale. Small, again, and we're addressing that tomorrow, but they're going to go somewhere, and they still want to be close to where there are bathrooms. We get those complaints quite a bit. A lot of these people get educated about where they can and can't go. And when you have public property, that's a challenge because of some of the case law that's come out. And so, and they know when they can be pushed out and when they can't. And it does become a challenge. And I think by constant contact, you're sending that message because, again, like you said, eventually they're going to get kind of tired of being bugged, especially when that contact occurs at 3 o'clock in the morning when they get woke up in their vehicle.
Right.
I'm not saying deputies do that, but I'm not saying deputies haven't done that. But there is a way to kind of make them not want to be in certain areas, but it's not a quick process. It's a slow, gradual process. But I agree from what you all stated, is I don't think this problem is going away. I think it's gonna get worse as the city, they're trying to clean up their city. I understand what they're doing, but it's pushing it everywhere else. There was actually a little bit of a battle between Lacey and Olympia. Olympia was buying up rooms in a hotel in Lacey, housing them, paying for it for a month. They could stay in a hotel. And they took up like 50 rooms. And Lacey found out about it the day before the move was gonna happen. Well, that started some friction. So, again, I think your problem's gonna get worse if you don't address it sooner than later.
Thank
You
you.
gotta keep the pressure on.
Thank you.
My
So we've
big
cut-
concern is if we don't get a handle on this, that the word's gonna spread, and the next thing we're gonna see are these blue tarp communities along our trail and in our parks.
So we've got, okay. Yeah, good point, Dennis. We kind of bounced around. We started about campground, people staying on people's property, and then we ended, my fault to bring it up, we got a couple cars coming in here, but I think it's because we've been allowing something else. We understand what we just talked about. The people trying to park and sleep here, and the senior center shut the black truck up, and we turned the power off on the park when it was real cold because he was trying to use our power. We can just start trying to make life miserable for those people. But back to where we were originally talking. And Adam, I know this is not in your lane, but everybody else got a chance to talk. Do you want to say anything?
What aspect of it?
You are city staff, but I mean, we were talking about the camping. If you don't want to make a comment, I just feel bad that everybody else got a comment, but I ignored you, and I call you the wrong name. So,
Trying to redeem himself.
if you want to say it's not in your avenue, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, we could get into the weeds about the effect on groundwater, and that's another issue that I'm sure the county would like to talk about as well, since
Okay.
they are involved in that already. So.
Okay. So, my consensus from what I've heard everybody say is that we want Rainey to start working at dealing with the facilities that have campsites, campers, motorhomes, whatever it is on their property, and get the ball rolling on that on the code enforcement side. Is that correct, Dennis?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maureen?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Okay. You okay? You got a comment on that?
No.
Okay. I think that was a very, very well presented on all of your parts for the last 35 minutes. Everybody, let everybody speak and listen. And I guess that'll turn it over to you and Bill, because I know you'll be involved with that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Never fails. There's always one.
And if it's something the council wants to entertain after about permitting for hardship cases, I know we have that 6-month permit that we can get if somebody's building or has a permit to build, that the mayor can sign for people, but I guess if somebody had a really hardship case and they wanted to bring it to the mayor, then the mayor can decide whether or not to give them a permit for something like that.
so you.
Well, I'd kind of like to see more than just one person have say over that. But I agree, if somebody comes in with a legitimate problem, that we can make some kind of modification. That,
Who's the judge?
well, put it on the council. That's what we're elected for.
Yeah, I agree. Make a council decision, bring the hardship to us.
Yeah. If somebody has a problem, they say, hey, I want to put my parents in my motorhome on my property for 6 months, submit a letter to the council or come to the council.
You're more trustworthy than I am. I see somebody saying that and then their tweaker friend moves in it instead because they got permission to put their parents there.
I say we don't even go there yet. I just say we let Rainey start what he's doing
Yeah.
and let's just see where this goes.
I agree, absolutely.
Okay. You heard it, you got consensus from me and the council, and you work with Tammy and I, and just keep us in the loop. You know, I know you will, of who you've sent your letters to, and you and Bill, go at it. Okay? Any old business?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion, a second to adjourn. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned at 6 p.m. Thank you, council.